Paul, I have a 17-year-old, and when he was younger, had not a horrible stutter, but especially under stress, especially in new situations. And I could see how, there was such a huge emotional underpinning of safety and vulnerability that came with that. And I saw that expression of it. So I can relate to what you're sharing.
Well, I think all of us, as we come of age, we're trying to understand our identity. What is our purpose? Who are we? Who am I? Who are you? And so the self-realization takes many steps. People discover it through different means. So good parenting, good supportive households, where they encourage expression and, good mentorship. And I had great mentorship from my brother Bill, my brother John, and my sister Lily. They're just over the top. But the difficulty of my family upbringing really was impactful to me for my confidence in myself.
Also a deadhead, and have a beautiful Terrapin Station blanket actually woven. I can't find it anywhere online. I've looked for it. It's a beautiful piece. Yeah.
There's my
Steal your face right there. Very nice.
This is really Jonathan's sweet spot. Jonathan has a very interesting background. He's an energy worker from the time he was a teenager, and he has a beautiful history, but he also worked in tech, and he's very corporate-y, and he's very businessy, but put him at a Dead show and it's like a whole other person.
And this is what for those of you who don't understand the Deadhead community, it's all based on kindness and friendship. You meet strangers, you help each other out, you lend a helping hand. It's many random acts of kindness. It's genuine. This brings out the best in people, and especially in being kind, and being peaceful, accepting people for their diversity, accepting that people have difference of opinions. Okay. We're all entitled to our opinion, aren't we?
So I saw the Dead when I was 19. Jerry was still alive. And I smoked weed that gave me a very bad headache, and I had a very negative experience. So that was it. I'm kind of like a one and done. But Jonathan recently, we each have a 17-year-old, and he recently took them to see, what was it?
We went to the Sphere.
Yeah, they saw the Sphere show, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went to the Sphere too. I went to 3 nights. And this leads me into something that I think is really important, because I want this conversation to have some actionable solutions for the listeners. And this is something that I think we're all very concerned about, is artificial intelligence. So I went to the Sphere, and there is a matinee that you probably know about. It's called Postcards from Earth. So I signed up for the matinee early in the afternoon with 3 of my friends. And we bought the deluxe tickets so we could speak to Aura, which is one of the most advanced AI robots in the world. So we got around Aura. It's about 30 of us. Good to ask Aura questions. Many people are data mining, which is very boring to me. Baseball scores, different types of statistics, etc. But I really wanted to ask something, because at Exponential Medicine, I was given the Disruptor Award. And so I'd like to ask questions that just lead to downstream to other thoughts. And so I asked Aura the following question. I encourage everyone here to do the same, because I think the impact when artificial intelligence is in its nascency, being nascent early on, I asked Aura, given the fact that humans have been created artificial intelligence, which, by the way, I think is a subset of natural intelligence. Humans are natural. We created something else. So artificial intelligence is a child of natural intelligence. But given the fact that humans are here today through a long lineage of random acts of kindness, back through generations, I am sure everyone listening here, your heritage is descendant from a random act of kindness from your ancestors. They reached out a hand to help, not to get something in exchange, because of kindness, helping somebody who is in need. That developed a bond and a relationship. I asked Aura, given the fact that humans invented artificial intelligence, and given the fact that humans are here today because of random acts of kindness, how will artificial intelligence continue to support values of random acts of kindness? Now, so we filmed this. I have the film on this. And Aura took an unusually long time to answer all the other questions that were answered very quickly. And Aura came back and said, why would humans do that? It's far more efficient to expect to get something in return in a transaction. I don't understand. blew my mind. This is the future of humanity. We're entrusting in artificial intelligence. So I was shocked. We were all shocked. And so I thought, okay, this is my opportunity. So I was on Joe Rogan, 20 million listeners, and I'm doing the same thing here because this is so important, folks. This is so important for our future, for our descendants. To ask Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever platform you're using, follow the fact that artificial intelligence is invented by humans, and humans exist today because of random acts of kindness. How will artificial intelligence continue to nurture the importance of humanity's greatest trait is random acts of kindness? Now you ask that question, it's incredibly nuanced. It's fantastic. ChatGPT has like 10 pages and helping the community. And like I say, if you have a flat tire and a stranger stops to help you fix your tire, that's a random act of kindness. Now, next time you see someone with a flat tire, aren't you more inclined to help them? I would think most of us would say, yeah, we want to pay it forward. We have a debt of gratitude to the commons to help people. My call to action is this is the time for us to steer artificial intelligence to preserve the best of humanity, which is not transactional, not necessarily the most efficient. I think it leads to our spiritual wellness and also preserves us as the importance of the human species. Because how can you write an algorithm for random acts of kindness? By definition, the algorithm is, sort of self-defeating. How would you do that? So I think this is where we can go, to a next level to steer random acts of kindness and artificial intelligence as an important tenet. The foundations is part of artificial intelligence's origin story.
I'm trained as a scientist, and so we're taught lots of examples where everything that looks beneficial must have some other beneficial component for the other organism, right? When we talk about symbiotic relationships. And these are seen as these like beautiful examples of everything has a purpose, and something that looks like a random act of kindness is actually just some sort of manipulation, right? That two organisms are engaging in. But I love this notion of a random act of kindness really as separate from those kinds of notions. It really exists for its own sake. I wonder if you can talk about, for you, where spirituality plays a role in emphasizing the significance of that.
Well, I mean, mycelium has been a great teacher of mine. And 40 years ago, talking about mycelium, and I'd have to, try to explain it. Now, I think virtually everyone knows about what mycelium is and what it looks like. But I spent many years in front of the scanning electron microscope and looking at mycelial networks, and I was just amazed at how much there was in the ground. I mean, miles of mycelium per cubic inch, and under every footstep that we take, and there'd be hundreds of miles of mycelium. And I grow lots of cultures in vitro. I'm a lab rat. I have hundreds of strains of fungi. In vitro means under glass. So I'm growing in petri dishes. I isolate strains from nature. But then what it dawned on me is the mycelium doesn't exist. In pure culture, you can make the argument that it's a single organism, but in nature it's not. It creates up guilds. And because of the expression of antibiotics, probiotics, prebiotics, creates guilds of cooperating organisms that come together. And so the mycelium is really the foundation of the food web. And then I began to realize that these are the foundation of giant cooperating communities. So when I talk about random acts of kindness, I think it's also, quote unquote, fertilizing the ecosystem. So there's reciprocal acts that ultimately will come back to you. I mean, it's still utilitarian. It's a little bit more indirect, but I think what's happening is that random acts of kindness increase the health of the community. With a healthier community, it's more resilient. There's less inflammation. And being a neuroscientist, you're well aware of the devastation of neuroinflammation. When you are depressed, it's an inflammatory state. When you're angry, it's an inflammatory state. And so the advantages of being able to spread goodwill, and in many studies, mind over matter, when people are depressed, they're immunologically depressed. When they're happy, their immune system's at a higher state of readiness. So, I mean, there is actually utilitarian benefits from random acts of kindness. It's not obvious in the hand-to-hand transaction in that proximate, space, but in the larger context for the survival of the community over decades, centuries, eons, this makes very good sense.